Hello, one and all, and welcome back to the Alicia Dione channel. We're doing something a little bit different this week. I am releasing a podcast, and there's a few different reasons for this, but mainly it's because there's so much I want to tell you guys. There's so much that goes on now that we've moved here in New Zealand, and I feel like a lot of it's not video worthy, but that doesn't mean that, I don't want to share it with you. And I feel like the medium of podcast is so much more available to people. You can listen to it whilst driving, you can listen to it whilst on your walk, whilst you're cooking. You don't need to be looking at the screen. And I just thought, we'll give this a whirl. And you either like it or you don't. But we'll go from here. I just thought it'd be a cool thing to give it a try. But if you like the idea, make sure to give this video a thumbs up. Leave me a comment in the comment section below. And yeah, let's get to our first ever episode 1 Alicia Dione Podcast. Okay, so I have just poured myself a glass of refreshing lemonade, and I didn't really think it through because I couldn't have picked a noisier drink. It's fizzy, it's got ice in it, and it's a metal straw in a glass. So we're just going to move that away from me before we progress. It is a gorgeous, absolutely stunning day here in Wellington, New Zealand. Even though if you're listening to this, you're probably in the UK or the US, you guys are experiencing your lovely summer now that it's July. We are in the middle of our winter months because, well guys, I'm in the upside down over here, okay? We're in backwards season land. And it's odd to wrap my head around, but I will say, it's made a lot easier by how much frickin' sunshine there is. And it's not like, that it isn't chilly or cold, but today is 14 degrees and the sun is coming through the window and it warms up the apartment and it's just, it's beautiful. And if someone was, struggling with, maybe like seasonal affects disorder, highly recommend New Zealand winter. Wellington winter, not so great because of the high winds. And also, I think it is currently unseasonably warm and sunny, but I don't know, I'll fill you guys in. I've also been told that the worst time in Wellington is spring. Anyway, it's a Monday and I'm at home, not working. Why is that, Alicia? What's going on? Well, Ben has COVID. Yep. That's right. You guys, we managed to survive the entirety of the lockdowns in England. We managed to get through me working with COVID positive patients and coming home to him every day for 7 months. We did our flights here with a layover in Singapore. We did quarantine in Auckland. It's not like we've been a low risk group of people, but it is now that we are in arguably the safest country to be in terms of COVID, that Ben he's been taken down. He's got the vid. The big C has come for him and he is in bed. I know that he is alive because every now and then I can hear some coughing through the walls. And I've also told him that, any shortness of breath or you actually feel panicked, give me a call. And my phone is on loud. Oh, I can hear him emerging through the other door. Oh, some sneezing and some coughing and a trip to the bathroom because I can only quarantine him so far, human rights. Can't just give him a bucket and tell him to deal with it. Now you might be like, Alicia, how did you get through all of that time absolutely fine? And now you're telling me in a country much larger than England with a minuscule amount of the population, how on God's green earth has he now got COVID? Now, I don't want to say that he deserves COVID. I don't want to say I deserve COVID. I am negative, by the way. Somehow, by the grace of God, I am negative. Now, different people we know have different theories and different amounts of time they believe I will make it without contracting the virus, but I'm going to try my damnedest. Because I did not get this far. Come on guys, think about this. I did not get to July 2022 when we locked down in England in March 2020, having worked on the front line in the NHS without getting COVID to get struck down by it now. So, I don't know. I'm doing my best. I'm doing what I can. But basically, we're invited to a awesome party. So cool. It was a friend's 30th birthday party and you had to go you had to go dressed up as an animated character, which is so much fun. But I think when you brainstorm characters that you might go as a fancy dress costume as, you don't realise how many of them are real life. So few of the ideas I had were animated characters. Because the first idea I had was Aang and Katara from Avatar: The Last Airbender. A series, by the way, that if you have not seen as a grown adult, I highly recommend you go and watch. So wholesome, so much fun. I haven't seen the movie and I've only heard bad things about the movie. Go watch the original animated series. I think it's on Netflix. I absolutely love it. So good. Such a feel-good little series. Me and Ben came to the conclusion that shaving his head and drawing a blue arrow on it wasn't a risk we were willing to take due to, how do I put this, the genetic traits of hairlines that run in his family. We had a real, like a legitimate fear that if we shaved his hair, it might not all come back. So we were like, no, let's just hold on to it. We're going to hold on to it for as long as we can anyway, and we won't risk it. So we moved on to some other ideas, and the party kept getting closer. And if you're listening to this not in New Zealand, just be grateful for the pure choice you guys have. Like you have Amazon, you have so many costume shops. All of your costume shops have easy access to so many different countries and lines of production. The choice over here in New Zealand, it's miserable. It's so small because we are so far. You could not get closer to the edge of the world if you tried. And it showed when it came to finding things for this costume. One of the things was just 2 bits of elastic and it was $80 on Etsy and no guarantee that it would arrive on time. So basically the costumes we landed on were Nathan Drake from the game, Uncharted, and Lara Croft from the game. No, I did not make pyramids out of cardboard and cover my chest in them as much as I was tempted to, but it did mean that I had to go out in shorts in the middle of winter in New Zealand, because the only time Lara Croft wears trousers is in the movie, which is real life and not animated. We had an amazing time. It was so much fun. And to be honest, me and Ben have not been out, and I mean like out around lots of people since before March 2020, which is insanity if you think about it. We're in our early to mid 20s and we have not been out in over 2 years. Like, that is just insane. But, you know, all for the greater good. I'm not complaining. It's just, when you think about how long COVID has had a hold over us and our lives, if you had told us this when we first went into lockdown, people would have just I don't think people would have coped with that kind of news. But then it also just shows how much more we can put up with and how resilient and strong we are. So yeah, take from that what you will. I'm going to get back to my story now. Ben had a bit of a sore throat. We woke up Sunday morning and I want to say he had a cough, but I want to say he coughed a total of 4 times in 5 hours. Like, we're talking very minor. However, he did not feel good, and this was not a hangover. He just felt so fatigued. But at like 9 o'clock in the morning, he had done a COVID test and that had come back negative. So we were happy, we were fine. But we'd already decided that this Sunday was a day for no work. I did no editing, no filming, didn't get out my pajamas. We just lay on the couch and relaxed and watched so much TV. We have not watched that much TV since we were both uni students. This is like, normally we reach a limit. We're like, okay, we can't watch. We've watched 3 or 4 episodes or something, and we're like, we can't do any more. Never reached that limit yesterday. Just kept going and going and going. And then in the evening we watched Top Gun. It was the old Top Gun, not the new one. I am dying to see this new Top Gun. I have seen clips from the beach scene. Oh my God. And the piano scene and the singing. Sorry, a man that can sing plus a man who can... that beach scene, I refuse to watch it on YouTube. I refuse to go on YouTube and watch it because I want to be blown away when I see it in the cinema, you know? I want to just be in awe, and I want to be taken aback, and I want to not know what's coming my way. That's how we spent our Sunday. And then the coughing got a little bit worse as the day went on, and Ben was unusually sleepy. Like, the fatigue I heard was really bad with COVID. I knew that. But something that really took me by surprise, Ben normally when he's sleepy or ill, he's watching something on his phone. He would actually really struggle to fall asleep. He had insomnia as a teenager and a child. That's really only faded in the last 3 or 4 years. He's a very specific sleeper, whereas me, I'm like a rock. I basically, as soon as I hit the pillow, I'm unconscious, and if you want to wake me up, then you're going to need to use some serious muscle and the grace of God, because you can wake me up for about 3 seconds and then I will be asleep again. I love being that way. Very blessed. Ben, not that way. Yesterday, unconscious. Like, mid-episode, you know when you do that little jerk, that little, all your limbs go because your body's like, whoa, don't die, just fall asleep. What is that jerk called, actually? I'm going to quickly just look that up. Hypnic jerks? Hypnic. To my understanding, hypnic jerks happen because your body is just making sure you're not slipping into the afterlife as opposed into dreamland. So he was extremely sleepy, and you know, I had a full week of work ahead of me in the office every single day because that's just the way my job is. And after work on Monday, I actually had plans to meet up with a friend that I haven't seen in a while, and she is a doctor. She's amazing. She's working over here, also from the UK, would you believe? Literally one of the first friends I made here in New Zealand. And we were both in the same kind of healthcare arena and both from Britain. So that was relatively ironic. But I was just thinking, I don't want to decommission my office with COVID, and I definitely don't want to decommission a hardworking doctor. So Ben's first thought was, I'll do one in the morning. I'll do one Monday morning and all will be well. But I get up before him and I leave for work before him. And I don't think he had to be in the office Monday morning. So, you know, God knows what time he would have got out of bed. I would have been in the office working before he had probably seen the light of day. So I said, look, I don't want to put these people at risk. Just do a test tonight and then at least I'm a little bit more confident. So he does the test and it's positive. And it's like, shit, you know? Like, what other response are you going to have in that scenario? Because then what? Then what are you supposed to do? And I'm still relatively new at my job, so I actually haven't been trained in the working from home area. So I then had to contact my boss, contact some people who had had COVID recently, and just kind of ask them what's the policy. What has now ended up happening is I've just had to take the week off because I don't have my work laptop with me. I have not been trained or given the equipment to do the working from home side of my job. And now I'm sat here on a Monday, on a glorious sunshine day, recording my first ever podcast. So, you know, maybe there was a plan in place when he got struck down with COVID, and maybe it was so that this podcast could be born. Maybe that was the overall goal from the universe. We're actually very lucky with who we have over here in New Zealand because Ben's colleagues have been so phenomenally nice. Also, their partners, so welcoming, invite us over for dinner. They can't be more welcoming, more inclusive. A really, really lovely bunch of people from the UK as well. They've travelled over. But a couple of the texts we got through when we, you know, spread the news that we were now a COVID household, which means, by the way, if you're in New Zealand, that you have to isolate for 7 days. Now, if on day 5 of Ben's isolation, I get COVID, I have to isolate, I think, for 7 days, but Ben can leave once his 7 days are up. I think that's how it works. Another thing that you can do here in New Zealand is you can leave the house to exercise. So I went for a lovely walk at lunchtime, which was really nice. Made sure to go down some side streets just to avoid people as much as possible. But I'm also negative, so I'm not too worried. And I'm just wondering if I'm going to make it through this and stay negative. It'll be a very, very interesting experiment, should we call it. I'm doing everything I can. Oh, I haven't even told you the best part. Yeah, I'm sleeping on the sofa. So, well, It's not that bad. Basically, when we moved into our lovely apartment, if you guys haven't seen the vlog of us moving to New Zealand and finding our apartment and furnishing it and all of that stuff, definitely go check that out. We did a lot of shopping at op shops, which is charity shops here in New Zealand. And one of the things we decided that we were definitely springing for, that we had no negotiation on, was that we definitely wanted a really comfortable sofa bed, because when people come to stay, we want to make sure they're comfortable, that they can, get over this jet lag and that horrible feeling in a really comfy sleep setup. So we sprung for this sofa, and the beautiful thing about it is it doesn't have a bed inside the sofa. Basically, the backs that you sit against fold back completely flat, and then the corner of the sofa you can pull round to make like a massive king-sized square of comfiness. It is very, very cool. Now, I didn't do all of that last night because, do you know what, I was just like, I'm gonna have to put it back in the morning, and I can't be asked to pull the corner around, so I just put back the one section that's attached to the corner of the sofa, and I slept there under 3 blankets and a sheet. I left Ben with the duvet because, he is the sick party. Just having to pause the podcast because there is something on the roof. Don't know if you can hear that. Basically, for the sake of earthquakes, all of the roofs here in New Zealand, they're not concrete or tile. A lot of them are tin, especially in Wellington and Christchurch, just as a preventative measure for earthquakes, which is all well and good. And it's brilliant, oh my God, when it rains and you're under a tin roof, it's like you're living in an ASMR video. It is a beautiful thing. It also makes getting out of bed in the morning when it's raining very difficult because it's so serene and calm. But yes, right now there is an animal of some sort, quite a heavy one, walking around on the roof. Okay, so I think whatever it was has moved on to another adventure, so that's all good. Anyway, what was I saying ages ago? Maybe I shouldn't do podcasts, because sometimes keeping a straight train of thought for myself is a very difficult thing for me to achieve. So, yes, we had a food delivery from one of Ben's colleagues today, who we gave a shopping list to, and he went out and got everything we needed. Now, on our shopping list, and I think this is just bonkers, it blows my mind. We needed some more Lemsip because Ben's quite congested, and Lemsip is it's nice, it's in a drink form, you're not taking loads of tablets. It's a good little thing to have when you're ill. Now, the guy who went and got this for us, he could only get the tablet version, which is fine, absolutely fine. That's what he brought. It'll get us through. It still has the decongestion in it. Brilliant. However, there were 2 receipts in the bag. And he was like, I'm just going to explain these 2 receipts as to why I didn't just buy it all in one go. And basically, when he had reached the checkout, they had said, oh, I'm sorry, you can only have 1 box. You can't have 2 boxes. And he was like, well, I'm buying for my colleague and his partner who are in isolation with COVID. And, it's for 2 sets of people, one of which is very ill. Can I please have 2? And she was like, oh, no, I'm sorry. It is limited to 1 per purchase. Hear what I'm saying here? See what I'm putting down? You picking it up? 1 per purchase, not 1 per person. So he was like, okay then. Yeah, that's fine. Ring me up, please. Okay, cool. I'll pay. Right, now I'd like to buy, I don't know, this pack of gum and this pack of Night Nurse. And they were like, okay, no worries. And I'm like, what a stupid policy. What did they gain there? If anything, they lost money, because I know that it costs shops to put money through on a card. They just had a completely pointless conversation. If it was 2 packs per person, that I could understand, because that's going to limit people from using up all of the, drugs in a time of a pandemic. It's like when we completely ran out of flour in the UK. I don't know how, it must have been all the banana bread making. I have no idea. And I understood that, and the pasta wasn't on the shelves, so I get limiting the number of packs you can have per person. But why limit something to how many purchases you have? Because you can just go back in and keep buying more stuff and more stuff and more stuff. Anyway, it was very amusing to hear him tell me the story on the stairs. I also told him about the system I have in place with Ben in order to stop me, myself, getting COVID, to which his direct and immediate response was, give up. He said, give up now. It's not going to work. It's not going to happen. It's no. Ye of little faith. I think I could pull it off. Will I pull it off? Different question. I do think it's possible though. Basically, what we have done is, I'm sure you'll have seen in my YouTube videos, our kitchen and our living room are kind of all one space divided by a counter. There's no doors between it. So where we eat our meals, where we cook our meals and where we relax on the couch, that's all one area. Then there's a door into the hallway. We have 2 bedrooms, one of which is our home office and the bathroom. So I've given Ben the bedroom. I cleared all my stuff out the home office and sat myself up on the kitchen table. And so we are divided by 2 doors. I bring him all of his meals. I wash up all of his stuff. I'm starting to see the reason he may have got COVID. But yes, I have a very strict system in place. You know, we try not to cross paths. When he's done eating, I leave the bowls for at least an hour to let whatever's festering on them to die off a little bit. They then get put in the sink, sprayed with some antibac, left for another 20 minutes, and then I wash them up. And I also know which mug he's using, which spoon he's using, which bowl he's using, etc, etc, etc. So I do have a solid plan in place. And, you know, I think being a midwife, anyone who trains in healthcare, and also I found people who train in kitchens, so chefs, we have a certain code of conduct already in our brains, because less so for chefs, but for doctors, nurses and midwives, we know what the sterile environment is, and we've sat exams on how to maintain them, like physical exams where you open up packs and you have to do different tasks. What can you touch? What can't you touch? What's going to contaminate other things? I just think your brain works a bit differently. It's just, you know, it's been molded to function in a way that will pick up on cross-contamination that other people that haven't sat healthcare courses wouldn't have thought about in the past. So I think in that respect, you know, I'm doing just fine, and I stand a good chance. What I don't stand a good chance on is the fact that I'm walking into the room to bring him his food and collect his stuff, but I don't have proper PPE, you know? Whereas when I was doing midwifery and I had, you know, positive patients, I had extra, not just the normal PPE, the proper PPE, because we would know that they're positive. But we'll see where it goes from here. But that is basically my life as it currently stands. I accidentally made a frickin' delicious vegetable soup. Complete accident. So there's this chicken soup that we buy in a can, because now we're in New Zealand, we're trying to find what are going to be our equivalency of home comforts, what are the things, our staples, what is going to be our sick food, what's going to be our winter food, what's going to be special treats, what's too expensive over here to not bother with. Answer, everything. Not having, like, I don't know, Heinz tomato soup is odd, and I tried some other tomato soup the other day and I literally had like 3 spoonfuls and I was like, no thank you, I do not want this. Ben liked it fine. Not for me. However, we found this really nice chicken soup, but there's not really any veggies in it. It's very creamy, it's very rich, and I love it, I really do, but when I have soup, I feel like I need there to be more veg in there. I need there to be, you know, like this soup is so rich, it feels unhealthy. It just feels like it's got to be just chicken and cream, and that's it. So I was eating some other vegetable and chicken soup at work the other day, and it was delicious, but a lot more expensive. And I was like, you know what? I could definitely DIY this at home. I just need to cut up and dice some potato, some onion, some carrots, a bit of sweet corn, maybe some garlic, and then I could mix it with the chicken soup. So I put that all together. I did that pretty much first thing this morning because I was like, we need to get some veggies into this man in order to keep him healthy and fit and strong. So it cooked. I'd done all my seasoning, added a little bit of chili in there, and it was absolutely freaking delicious. I didn't mix it with the chicken soup. It would have been an insult to the soup I had just made. Took a little bit out, blended it so it was nice and creamy. Oh my God, so yummy. Put a little bit of Greek yogurt in the top of it in order to counteract the little bit of spice. So warm, so wholesome. Huge fan. Love it when stuff like that happens, you know? That was not my intention, and I accidentally found a new, very easy, very yummy recipe for a nice winter soup, which is just what we need in this household right now, because clearly We've been taken down. We've been taken down by the vid. Well, I'm still standing, and I intend to stay standing. We'll see. We will see. I think I'm going to leave it there for today's podcast. This is my first ever one, and I didn't really have a plan. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope this recording comes out fine. And I just really like the fact that now I have a medium to share more personal stories with you guys and, more of an insight into my life and the day-to-day of what's going on, because sometimes things aren't video worthy, but that doesn't mean that they're not stories worth telling. So we'll leave it there. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure to give me a subscribe, a like, a comment, and as always, thank you so much for all of your support, and I will see you next week. Bye.